Alrighty, good morning everybody. It's Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Let's go ahead and jump into our review for yesterday so we can get into the pre-market for this morning. The market hasn't made any new lows, hasn't really made any new highs, so the pre-market is probably going to be pretty quick this morning because the picture hasn't really changed. But let's go ahead and jump back to yesterday. And remember, going into yesterday, it was basically the same thing we saw going in on Friday of last week, and that is we saw this nice bullish signal on the daily from the lows of last week. We had agreement on the weekly, we had agreement down on the 4-hour, we had agreement down on the hourly from all these lows. So there's still clues in the market for this potential larger rotation higher, but it does seem like every time we try to pop, the bears just come in and they keep swatting it, and the market doesn't really get anywhere. Same thing yesterday, right? We had clues, the same clues for all this potential for this rotation higher. We got a push higher yesterday, and then we failed right around our scaffolding level, and now we're pulling back into yesterday's range in this overnight session. So going into yesterday, everything looked like, we've got everything in the cards for the bulls. Let's take a look at what happened here. We got rejections right at 50% of the day before to the tick there. Pulled back, held the 200 moving average. We even got a nice little play here between the 200 and VWAP. And then finally started to trek out right off the FMA. Came into our holy orange power level. Interestingly enough, we coiled up right there around the power level and the close of the day before. Got that slight peak higher to pull back and bounce one tick in front of our 200 there for this nice push going into the afternoon. And then what do you know, the high of the day was this level I told you about where we had the confluence between the 50% retracement of the smaller leg we were looking at and then the 50% retracement of last week right there at 45.02. So I told you to put that on your charts yesterday. Well, what do you know? The high of yesterday was that level nearly to the tick. We failed 2 ticks in front. We came up and just kissed through it there by a couple ticks, and then nearly to the tick here for 3 beautiful holds. And then the market went ahead and attempted to rip just a little bit higher right at the end of the day there. So it broke out. And then going into Globex yesterday, what do you know? We come up right to the scaffolding level, pull back to the tick, and then get some of these little shallow tests through the level, basically holding it here within a few ticks. And now coming into the open here, you can see the market's now pulling back right back into the range from yesterday. So if you zoom out and take a look, I've been warning you guys for quite a while now, for at least the last 3-4 pre-markets, that this whole area inside of here, right around this 4,500 up to around 4,550 area, this whole pocket was going to be a mess. And until we could actually break down below and start chugging lower, or break out through those highs around 45.50 and start to try to come back higher, it was going to be a mess down here. And so far, it's just been, as you can see, for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nearly 7 days, we've just been chopping around in this area. So it's no different this morning coming into the open. We're still inside of all this chop from the last, say, 6-7 days. So not looking great. That basically wraps up this review for yesterday in this overnight session. As you can see, we've got basically that stair-step pattern from the bearish side of things where we come up, we fail off of our scaffolding level, we come down, break through the next scaffolding level and come right back to it, and then fail lower, right? So there was a nice, and again, we see this type of stuff happen over and over again. In fact, if we go back to Friday, remember we came down, we held the first scaffolding level here, nearly to the tick, come up, and then fell right off the one up top, right? So it's all beautiful textbook price action going on here. Let's go ahead and jump up into our higher time frames for today and see what we have for our pre-market. Like